Hello and thank you for joining us here in Tel Aviv, ContentoNow, a special episode of News and Spirituality, broadcasting live to tape from India and hosting one of the greatest world spiritual leaders and teachers, Didi Jayanti. Hello to you, Didi Jayanti.
Om Shanti, a greeting of peace, shalom to you, Netanel, and to all the viewers.
Thank you so much. Om Shanti and Shalom. I think it was only a few weeks ago, till the 6th of October, then we last met in India, in Mount Abu, in Brahma Kumaris, and we were talking about peace and virtues, and then one day afterwards, you were in Brahma Kumaris and listening in what is happening here in Israel, the war with Gaza, with the Hamas. What was your first reaction?
I think it was total shock that a human being or several human beings can create plans to do such horrific things.
It's amazing because you were here in Tel Aviv, in Israel, visiting and celebrating. It seems to be ages ago, but it was only a few weeks ago that you were here celebrating 25 years to Brahma Kumaris in Israel with Sharona Stillerman. And then it seems that we're inside of a huge war, and the last update that is arriving within the last couple of hours that Israeli troops are fighting within Gaza against Hamas, ISIS terrorists within Shifa hospital. They are inside, many hostages. They are talking about a deal. So first of all, how would you react towards this kind of news when they are coming to you in India right now?
What I do is go deep inside in order to be able to connect with the inner being, the soul, and connect with the divine, so that God's light can shine on all, because it's one side action, another side reaction, and this back and forth continues in a very, very traumatic way. And so everyone needs God's light. And so when I hear this news, I go deep inside to connect with the one above and to share that light.
You're talking about light, and we're going to be discussing. We've got another position with videos that are coming. We're here in the studio in Tel Aviv, coming live from Jerusalem with many people that would like to ask you also questions, Didi Jayanti. But first of all, one testimonial about one story, a physical and a spiritual one.
We can all agree on one thing. Humanity is one organism. We're all connected. What happens on one side of the world affects the other side of the world. My name is Oded Rahav. I'm an entrepreneur and a veteran environmental activist. And for many years, I've brought hearts together from all over the world. I proudly belong to a few tribes: the Jewish and Israeli tribe, the Peace Builders tribe, and the Environmental Justice tribe. I want to share with you a story about one of our members of the environmental tribe. Her name is Dr. Shoshan Haran. She's from Kibbutz Be'eri. Dr. Shoshan is the founder of an organization called Fair Planet that aims to eradicate hunger all over the world, regardless of religion or race. Dr. Shoshan has helped millions in Africa who are stuck in poverty, most of them Muslims. On the 7th of October, Dr. Shoshan was kidnapped by Hamas, along with 6 other family members, including her daughter, her son-in-law, and her grandchildren aged 3 and 8.
So when you're listening to this kind of personal story of someone that is all the way in her spiritual journey, doing good for mankind, and we'll share a bit more about her story, what can you say? What can you reflect in order to help people here in the region?
My hope is that Dr. Shoshan, wherever she may be, is able to maintain love and compassion in her heart and share that love and compassion with all those who are around her. Maybe one of the secrets within this infinite drama of the world is that a person like her needs to be right there where she's needed the most, to be able to give that light to those who need it the most. And so my hope is that she isn't fearful, but she's very strong. She's filled with God's truth and energy, and that's doing its work in a very quiet, incognito way. And my hope is also that the family will be reunited in a short while.
I will share with you another episode of this story in order to have your perspective, which is different. You know, in all the TV news, they're talking about politicians and they are generals, reverse generals and colonels and journalists. They're counting days, bodies, kidnaps. And we're trying to bring this unique perspective of spirituality in within the horrible news that are arriving here. So let's have another peek of this episode.
Her husband, Avshalom, sister Lilach, and brother-in-law Aviatar were brutally murdered in the massacre. Lilach was a social worker who treated children with post-trauma. Both Lilach and Aviatar were peace activists that believed in coexistence and had many Palestinian friends. In a split second, an entire family was destroyed, and the environmental and peace tribe lost valuable members. Hamas doesn't care what tribe you belong to. It doesn't care what positive impact its members had on humanity or coexistence. That evil that is a few minutes from my home is not only my problem, my country problem. It is a poison that spreads throughout the entire organism that we all share. Humanity is at a crossroad now, between basic human morals and pure evil. We need tribe leaders to be voices for good, to speak up for the collective. What do you want this world to look like in a month, in a year, or for the rest of our lives? We have the opportunity to change the direction of where we are headed. If you are silent, you are complicit. Every voice matters. Let's hear your voice.
Is there a way, Sister Jayanti, that you can explain for yourself this kind of behavior of terrorists which were joyful throughout the murders? They were joyful afterwards, after the kidnaps. They were joyful even after the rapes. Everything is taped, and we're showing only small as possible, I wouldn't call it gentle pieces, but gentle peaks of what is seen. So what is it in the human behavior, because it's a human behavior, that is being done here?
At the moment, this world has become the kingdom of evil. And we are seeing glimpses of this in different ways across the world. And evil is evil, or however you want to put it. It is dark, it is negative, it is violent, it is brutal. And this is the period of the dark night that we are now passing through. But the night cannot last forever. It never does. And so I understand that beyond the darkest period that humanity is passing through now, we are moving out of the tunnel very soon into the day. I believe that humans have reached that state where they have lost that inner strength totally. So the light that should be shining inside, that light has been extinguished by negativity. And this is the result. This is why we're seeing all this happen. But I know that we are not alone. God's company can be with us if we maintain our faith and our love for God, and that light can be ignited within us, but also when there's one light, one candle, it can ignite many other candles also. So I believe absolutely that through this period of intense darkness and evil, beyond that, the great light, the supreme light, is igniting our souls, but also we can be instruments to ignite the souls of others so that the light comes and shines brightly. And together we're able to usher in the day, the light world in which we will not see anything of sorrow or darkness or violence, but it'll be a world in which human beings live together as one family with that love, with that awareness of the connection, which is an eternal connection that we have together.
You know, Didi Jayanti from Brahma Kumar is one of the biggest spiritual universities in the world, centers in more than 130 countries. And we are getting from our team right now a question that is arriving from the holy city of Jerusalem. People are approaching our stand there, and we'll have one question right now for you.
My name is Shmuel Coleman, and I would like to know when we'll see back again all the people that were kidnapped. We'll see them back in their homes.
Thing has to happen. There has to be victory for goodness. The kingdom of evil will come to an end, and a kingdom of truth, of light, God's kingdom will begin. Humanity has reached a point of no return, but what's beyond this point of total evil is a world of truth. We have to learn that our own understanding today has to be one in which we're connected with the light and we look at the world with those eyes. We don't see the darkness of the present moment, but we're able to look beyond the darkness and see how good people, many, many good people across the world and in the Middle East, really are keeping that faith, that love, that hope, and that understanding that after the night, the day comes, but also there has to be victory for truth, for goodness. This is the story of humanity. It's not just legends and myths in which we understand that there's victory for truth, but this is a reality of the human being, that within every human soul, there comes a period when there's darkness, and in that darkness, the most negative forces are at work. But with God's love, God's light, we gain the strength and the capacity to be able to go beyond that and create together a world of love and light. I absolutely hold that truth in my heart. So I don't know when and how, but I do know that truth will happen, light will come. So I want you also to hold this faith in your heart.
You know, Didi Jayanti, you're talking about this movement of night, darkness, and light. And I would like to show you one more video that is reflecting the Nova, the supernova party with many young people that were dancing, praising peace. It was a peace music victory parade, and they were looking for the morning. And I want to reflect to you the energies that are right now holding the Gaza border, the Israel, and thousands of family within Israel. I'm showing you. So my question to you is there, using the tools that you are talking about, the tools of Brahma Kumaris, is there a way to deeply understand karma within this so fatal situation when people that did no wrong in their lives and they find themselves right now or murdered or kidnapped, and we wouldn't know their children, their mothers, grandmothers that are held hostages right now within the Hamas?
One of the things about karma is that you can't pin it down to one birth. There are things beyond this, before this, and after this also. And so the threads of karma are so deep and intricate, it's difficult to know where you begin and where you end. It's like the seed and the tree. Where did the first seed come from? And then the tree grows, but from the tree comes the seed again. And so it's an eternal cycle of seed and tree and seed and tree and seed. And so the story of karma is an infinite, eternal story. And so it doesn't matter that there is innocence, but something wrong happens that is totally, totally evil, because we don't know where the story began. And so I know it's not an easy answer to accept or to understand, but enough for me to know that there has to be justice. I don't see it happening in front of my eyes right now, but God is the one who is just. God is the one who is compassionate. And so I deeply believe and I understand that there will be justice and there will be compassion together with the justice. And so I don't know if that is satisfactory for those who have been distressed by everything, but I know that that is a reality.
So what you're saying, Didi Jayanti, from the special broadcast from India, from Brahma Kumaris, that karma sometimes gets back to you from things that you have done in previous lives?
Not just in one or two previous lives, but it's a long story. And so which life it is, I don't know. But also there's something which then brings us together as a family. And what's holding us together as a family now is this awareness that we are all of us, children of the One. And what God wants for us at this moment is to be able to come back to an inner state of purity, of truth and love, which are the original qualities of every single soul. If there's violence and I react with violence, it escalates and it multiplies. And this is what we're seeing. But what I need to do is step back and say, what is it that God wants me to do? Surely God does not want me to react with violence. God would like me to have purity, love, and compassion so that today I do what is right. So I'm sowing the seeds for a better world tomorrow. Violence and more violence and more violence, and we see the result. But at some point, people of faith have to stand up and say, enough is enough. Now let there be non-violence and let compassion rule the day so that we demonstrate what we believe. I know that people in Israel have love for God, have faith in God, and that is the foundation of not just the Judaism religion, but also of the country of Israel. Can we remember that and now demonstrate that? And I'm sure that the results of that will be spectacular. I know that justice will win. I know that love has to win also.
Listening to you, and would love to ask a question from our position of ContentoNow in Jerusalem, near the holy city and the holy wall coming now.
Hi, my name is Jérémy Chemelin. I'm from France, and I would like to ask why Arabs and Jews are not making peace right now, because we're like cousins and we all love our family and our way to live. So I would like to ask when the peace will come.
Why do brothers fight brothers? It's when there's a veil over the truth, when anger and ego take over, then even brothers forget that they're brothers. And so even deeper than the awareness of Jews and Arabs being cousins, I would say that Jews and Arabs and Hindus and Christians, we're all brothers, totally. Even closer than any blood relationship, it's the eternal relationship of being the children of one supreme parent. And so we've forgotten this, and we've allowed ourselves to be influenced by anger and by ego. And so that's not just one part of the world, it's a total state of humanity. What's happening in Israel has been highlighted in a very, very dramatic way. But in fact, anger and ego exist everywhere. And so sometimes we see things blow up, sometimes they become a little bit calmer, but the reality is that until we take away that shadow of ego and anger, and that can only happen when we come back to the awareness of who we truly are. In the earlier video, we heard about belonging to different tribes, which is beautiful. But in fact, we are all of one human tribe, truly. And so coming back to the awareness of who we truly are, children of the one parent, and a parent who has love and compassion and mercy. And so we have to remove the ego of just this physical form and the physical tribes that we are born into, and transcend that and come back to the eternity and the awareness of the being that is eternal, the soul. And when I look at you with those eyes, you are truly my brother, and I'm not just your sister, but I'm even beyond that. Soul to soul, we are brothers. And in that awareness, there is pure dignity and respect for all. No thoughts of impurity or violence. And in this awareness, yes, then I can go beyond the ego and the limitations through which I look through at the world, but also I can go beyond the anger and come back to the original state of being that I am, the soul. Shalom. I am that being of peace. Can I come back to that awareness and keep that awareness, not just for meditation or prayer, but through the day, as I walk and talk and interact with you and 1,000 others? This is the awareness I need to hold, because through this awareness of even a handful of people, as this awareness grows and influences everyone around us, through that change of consciousness, we're able to create a better future, a better world for all of us.
You know, we're talking and listening to so much high values that you are bringing from Brahma Kumaris. And As you said, it's not happening only in Israel, and you've been living in the UK for many years. And this is a broadcast that we're getting from our team right now from the UK. So we're joining them for a few seconds to have also your spiritual perspective about the news.
From central London now, we've got live pictures to bring you from Vauxhall Bridge, where that is the march for the pro-Palestinian cause taking place today. Hundreds of thousands of people have turned out. An anticipated number of 500,000 are expected to attend this one. The biggest so far, of course, these pro-Palestinian protests have taken place every Saturday since October the 7th. A lot of controversy surrounding this one, though, given some of the political scrutiny and calls for this protest to be rescheduled because it falls on Armistice Day. Well, that hasn't happened. Police assured the Home Secretary that they had the situation under control.
When you're seeing that, hundreds of thousands of people with hate against Israel, hate against ISIS, hate against Hamas, hate against each other in the center of London, Europe. What would you say today? How this call of light can be entering into the lights when the time sees like we're starting a cold or a warm world war in these days?
Souls are eternal. And we have to remember that. And I also have to remember that there is some plan that God has to be able to restore beauty and truth and peace in the world. You see, when you talk about faith, you're talking about the things that are not visible to these eyes at this moment of time. But there's an inner knowing that tells you this has to be the way. And the inner knowing that I have now is that if I join a protest, this isn't going to change the situation. If I fight with others, it's just going to perpetrate that sickness of darkness and violence even more. And so what must I do? I must get back to the original principles, the eternal principles of the being up above and civilization. And the foundation of civilization is surely the pure values that the soul carries within itself. And I hold this absolutely in my heart, that every single soul at the moment is influenced by a huge amount of negativity and evil. This is why I say it's the kingdom of evil, but yet also below that negativity, every soul carries within itself the kernel, the seed of truth. And so those who have faith and love for God and love for humanity, love for God isn't separate from love for humanity. Both go together. If I love God, I also love my human family. So those of us who have faith and love for God and humanity must come together. And it's not a physical demonstration of coming together, because there are people of love and faith across the world. And so spiritually, emotionally, mentally, we come together, we stay united, and we hold this truth of love and faith. And we know that with God's help, things will turn around and there will be a better world. I think people have lost hope, and that's part of the darkness. And I hope that your program, Netanel, will inspire hope and faith and love in those who give it the space and time. I'm sure it has to happen. No question in my mind about it at all. The child cries because it's darkness and because he stumbled and had a fall. But the parent understands that beyond the darkness, there has to be the day. It's not going to last forever and ever. But I have to keep that faith and look at things from the spiritual perspective Sometimes that's called the third eye, the eye of wisdom, the eye that sees things that are not here on the physical plane. So when I keep this awareness of my eternal identity of soul, my third eye is open and I see the divine and I see the plan of the divine to bring and unfold that world of truth.
You know, Didi Jayanti, this is the reason that because we know each other, we know Brahma Kumaris for so many years, we asked to have a different perspective through you and our channels towards people in Israel and around the world, to give them a different perspective, because right now what people are absorbing are a huge amount of hate and violence, and as you said, lack of hope. And we're getting from our team in Jerusalem right now another question that they're telling me that is catching this fear that is coming especially from here, from Israel. There is the question.
My name is Rachel Metuki, and my question is, what has the world against the Jews?
So the question is, what has the world against the Jews? Is a question that so many people are asking themselves right now in Israel and also in many communities around the world.
I want to share two practical things. I come from a family that is of Hindu origin, and my ancestors, not far ancestors, but my parents, my grandparents, lived in the province of Sindh. And at some time, in their political wisdom, people decided to carve up the country of India and divide it. And it was almost arbitrary. It really was a line that was drawn through Punjab and Sindh and so on. In fact, Sindh actually turned out to be part of Pakistan. And there was an exodus from that area. And the Hindu Sindhis fled as refugees. My parents came as refugees to India. But I'll tell you something else. They never ever spoke to me of the horrors of the past. They felt that whatever has happened, they must not pass on the legacy of hatred and sorrow. And so they never spoke to me or my little brother. We were both born in India after the partition. And then we migrated to London, where we've been living ever since. But there was no mention of that. What they did talk to us about was the fact that they would play together as children with their neighbors who would be Muslims, who would be others, Sikhs. It was one community, one family, and they didn't pass on anything else. This community of Sindhis who are of Hindu origin is scattered across the world now. Just, I think, a few 100,000, no more, but they're around the globe. They settled in India, but then traveled abroad to find their fortune. The second story I want to talk about is how the Brahma Kumaris ashram existed in Karachi. And it was a small community, and they were scattered in 7 different houses. And there was one particular house where it was just young sisters, all of them aged under 21. And these sisters, 60 of them, lived in one house. And their families had already gone to India, and they wanted these sisters to come with them. But these sisters had decided that they would devote their life to God and the experience of God, and then to serve humanity. And the direction that came from above was that stay, just have yoga, connection with one, and there will be no harm that comes to you. And that turned out to be a reality. These 60 young women staying together and They didn't have a guard on duty. They didn't have any weapons. But somehow, the people around them, all of the Muslims, saw them as being children of God. And they were protected, not by weapons, but through the power of God's light and love. Why I share the story of the Sindhis is because they have also been persecuted. Then look at Africa and the slave trade in Africa, the bloody wars that have taken place in Africa, apartheid in Africa, and you begin to see that it's not only Jews, it's a whole situation of injustice and falsehood that is ruling the world in the last, I would even say 2,000 years, not even just in the few hundred years, that it's been gradually worse and worse and worse. Like when dusk begins, it comes slowly. And by the time it reaches a certain point, it's dark and you cannot see clearly. I believe that this is the story of humanity, that for the last 2,000 years or so, the darkness has gradually been coming. And today we've reached that point where nobody can see clearly even what is the difference between right and wrong and falsehood and truth. There was a new word that came into the Oxford Dictionary in the year 2016, and it was called post-truth. The era of truth was totally gone, and we are now in that era of post-truth. But I think this was an acknowledgement by Oxford Dictionary 1,000 years after the era of post-truth began. But this is what we're living through. But I want you to see that it's not just injustice in one place. Lots of facts about India and what the colonization of India did. India's GDP, when the British came in, I live in London, and I appreciate all that that country has done for me. But history is history. And history tells us that India's GDP was the 4th highest in the world when the British came in. When they left a country that was divided. They left a country in which the seeds of civil war were sown. And they left a country that was poverty-stricken. But also, they did something that is not usually acknowledged. They changed the whole education system. The original system before the British rule was of the Gurukul, where the guru would teach pupils. And we had over 100,000 Gurukuls all over India. Every village had the teacher and the pupils, all of them studying. India today even, and we still don't have the eradication of poverty or illiteracy. And so looking at the world, this is why I say it truly is a kingdom of evil, but it's coming to an end. A very brutal end, but it's coming to an end.
You know, it's very interesting what you shared with your personal story and your personal life and your parents, because I think that within the words, there was another solution that is raised, is the detachment of the ground. Because they decided that, well, if it wouldn't work there, they're going to be passing to another corner of the world. So maybe you're saying that the attachment of the Israeli and the Jewish people to the Holy Land and the cousins of the Palestinians also to the Holy Land, this attachment to the ground is one of the things that affects what is happening right now and create this kind of war?
I understand the emotion and the attachment also, But yes, maybe it's more important to actually connect with the divine so that then we receive that guidance and we're able to see things from a different perspective.
And you know, another question that is coming from Jerusalem, listening to you and talking about this evilness which is beyond countries, beyond boundaries.
My name is Victoria Fonske, and I live in Jerusalem. And the question, what important, I wanted to ask what happened with the world, what happened with people's too much angry. Maybe it will be we all live one life we have, and we need to live together, need love together. We all like friends need live, because life only one. It's not good.
Where were you born?
I was born in a Muslim country. It's Tashkent, Uzbekistan. But we live together like all friends. Door never not was closed. It's Uzbek people coming with us, and we live together like friends. It's not like in here. It's also Muslim country with Russian live like this.
So there are countries that sometimes love and care between Jews and Muslims, as she remembers, are something that we can expect. So maybe it's the right time for you guiding a special meditation towards people in Israel, in Gaza, towards the kidnapped people, the families that are suffering for so much pain. And maybe with your kind words, there is going to be a kind of illness and a kind of feeling better. Please.
I'd like us to do a meditation together and have those who are listening and watching join us. It's very simple. I'll share my own thoughts and invite you all to join in with those thoughts in your awareness. Meditation is normally silent, but I'll speak out my own thoughts as I meditate, so that my hope is that you'll follow those ideas in your own mind. Letting go of the consciousness of my physical form, gender, age, even culture and geography and religion. I come to the awareness of the eternal light that I am, the light that's shining in the center of the forehead. This is my eternal identity. I have been through a long journey, playing different roles on the world stage. But now I let go of those external roles and come to the awareness of the inner being, the being that I am eternally. I am a being of light. My original religion is peace. Connecting with myself. It's almost as if I start breathing again. My breath is peace. And as my thoughts slow down, and I stabilize myself in peace, I become aware of the presence of the divine. The supreme, the being of light. And this being beckons, and I come closer and closer, and I realize this is the being of absolute truth, absolute love, the being of compassion, the being who truly cares and uplifts each soul. In the presence of the divine, anger dissolves, I return to a state of calm, stability, equanimity. In the presence of the Supreme. Fear evaporates, and I'm filled with pure divine love. In the presence of the Supreme. Bitterness and hatred are banished. And there is only love and compassion. My parent reminds me of my own inner dignity based on truth, based on my eternal values. I realize I'd forgotten to love myself, and this is why it's difficult to love my neighbor. I'd forgotten to connect with the source of love, the divine. And so I became empty. And I lost respect for myself. But now, from the source, I recharge, I refill, I regain my lost dignity. And the pure thought that comes is that these are the qualities that I must share with all others, with each one of my human family. I hold this thought with a determination to put it into my life through my words and my actions.
Didi Jayanti, I want to thank you very much for these inspiring words. It's like bringing another set of tools, another set of values to the violence that is happening right now here in the Middle East, in the region, and so many other places in the world. And listening to you and the team are saying there is a final remark that is coming from Jerusalem with a small remark of a young Arab, Israeli, young child that was listening to the love meditation.
My name is Mirabel. I'm Abu Hadid. I love Mama because I want to ask her because my Mama loves me. I love her.
As simple as that. Sharing love in between the people. You said that you don't have a crystal ball. But what is your perspective regarding the kidnapped people? Because this is the huge drama that is happening right now. Do you think that there is a way that this kind of people, of souls, can be released, can overcome what happened in their life when they lost grab on reality?
My hope is that the families who have been suffering through this loss are going to become stable and be able to send their light and love to the ones they love from whom they've been separated. Because those who are at the moment cut off from their families and from who knows what else, they need our help at the moment. And our help can reach them through our thoughts, just simply through our thoughts. So I would say to the families who are free, send your thoughts of light and love to those who are not, so that they can have the strength to keep their courage and continue to move forward with that love in their life also. And my hope is that there will be a reunion.
You know, the word Amen, Shalom, and Om Shanti is so relevant right here and right now. Didi Jayanti, I want to thank you very much for finding the time to be part of this episode, for sharing your words here to Israel, to Gaza, to the Middle East, and to worldwide, and also for confronting news, because we had a different talk than we ever had. We're talking about hard, solid news that are in the media and in this area of post-true and fake news, to hear your truth and values, which are eternal. It was very, very inspiring, and I want to thank you so much, Didi Jayanti.
I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to share these thoughts, which are definitely not mainstream. They're very different. So I appreciate your courage in being able to bring these to your audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you and all the spiritual leaders in Brahma Kumaris in India, in Israel with Sharona Stillerman, and in so many countries around the world, for finding the ability and the courage to share these unique thoughts even within this war that is taking place, the 7th of October war between Israel and the Hamas. Didi Jayanti, thank you so much, and I truly hope to see you soon again. It's going to be a great blessing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for sharing with us your thoughts, so many questions that were raised throughout this show, and thank you for being with us on this News and Spirituality ContentoNow TV. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. You truly are a brother.
Thank you.